Welcome back to Torque GT's P1 Resto series. We apologise for being off your screens for so many months, but we ourselves have been at the mercy of other suppliers, other services, but I am happy to report, in fact I'm ecstatic to report, that we now have parts back from vapor blasters, zinc plating, everything, and this episode will be a bumper one because we are going to build the engine. Follow me. Look at that. How many of you built model kits as a kid? In fact, how many of you still do? How many of you got a Tamiya radio controlled car for Christmas one year and you just wanted to build it, so you laid everything out like this? I did, and I must admit, this excites me. However, I'm not going to be putting this engine together. That will be Spence, because he knows where everything goes. He's laid all this out. So what have we had done? Let me talk you through it. As you can see, everything has been cleaned. It's all been zinc passivated yellow. All the old rusty brackets, these are all like new now. All the pipes have all been degreased. These are all looking like brand new. Speaking of brand new, every single gasket is now a brand new Subaru item. All the oil seals, all the valve stem seals, everything brand new from Subaru. We've had the cylinder heads and the blocks all vapor blasted. There's no corrosion anywhere on them. As you can see, it's discoloured it ever so slightly from what the cylinder heads look like. However, we've got some engine enamel paint coming for these anyway, so these will remain silver once the engine is together. They won't start furring up like aluminium does when it corrodes. The pistons, these are lovely and clean now. They need a little bit more. We've got brand new piston rings, brand new shells. All the cams are decent. New timing belt, obviously. Roger Clark Motorsport has done a lovely job with this factory red wrinkle finish on the inlet manifold. That will literally stand out on top of the engine and just look perfect. Other brand new parts. We have a brand new alternator. As you saw in a previous episode, we managed to track down a brand new aircon pump. Brand new Subaru, genuine oil pump. I'm going to leave that sealed in there until it's needed. Even down to brand new crankshaft sensors from Subaru. And the camshaft sensor to give us the best chance of this engine running spot on straight out of the box. What's left to do? As I've said, we need to paint these blocks. The sump needs a little bit of cleanup and some paint. That's not a biggie. All the power steering is ready to go. The throttle body's ready to go. All the springs all been zinc plated. It's just going to look like a perfect brand new engine. What else have we got here? Oh, a brand new XED clutch ready to go in. Now we're building this car standard. It's going to be OE on the power. There's no point at the minute going any further than that. Let's just get it going, get it running, have it spot on as it was intended, as it left the factory. I love everything laid out like this. What I'm going to do now is I'll hand over the reins to Spence and he's going to put together the bottom end first of all. That's what we call the short block. Oh yes!
Oh yes!
Well, Spence has been busy, hasn't he? Look at that. That there represents the heart of our P1 project. Spence has managed to get the entire bottom end together. It's all sealed. The two halves are together. I've just had a quick word with him. He's going to be talking it all up now, and we can crack on with getting the sump on, bits and bobs, all the bungs, the water pump, oil pump, and get that assembly all sorted, ready for when the heads come back from engine tuner. So Spence is torquing up all the bolts. Torquing up bolts is very important. So I'll do the torquing while he's doing the torquing. Completely different language. Basically, this is to stop threads being stretched, threads being stripped. If you strip a thread because you've gone FT, then it's not good. Basically, your day's ruined, maybe even your week, and certainly your engine, and you've got to go back and start all over again. By having a digital torque wrench, we know that we can be as accurate as possible, and this is all being done to factory specs. So now that the block is torqued together, we've turned it upside down, we've got the baffle plate, we've got the oil pickup pipe to go inside the sump to fit, and then we're going to degrease this mating surface and get the sump on, and that's the bottom end sorted, so all the oil will be contained and no leaks. So that there is the windage tray. That basically stops oil being splashed around up onto the cranks and allows the oil pickup pipe to do its job. As does, inside the sump, we've got this baffle system. So the oil pickup pipe can sit right at the bottom of the sump. The oil, when you're cornering, can't slosh around. If it sloshes around without this, you get starvation when you're cornering, and that means engine goes kaboom! And you don't want that to happen, especially when you've just built an engine. All race engines generally are dry sumped, and that means that they don't have this. They've got a pump that's constantly lubricating. But road car applications generally have a wet sump. The next step on a wet sump is to have these baffles. Good bit of progress made now. The bottom end is all together. The sump is on. The only thing that we're waiting on now is the cylinder heads. Once they're here, we can get some new clips on here. That's the water pipe going from the oil cooler to the water pump housing. Then we can do the cam belt once the heads are on, and we'll have an engine. Here we can see Spence mocking up the cylinder heads, doing a dry build so that we can check all the clearances. Unfortunately, we're going to have a little bit of machine work done. However, there is only one place for that, and they're our good friends at Engine Tuner. Spencer's put the cylinder heads together, and they do look lovely. Fresh silver paint, all the zinc bolts look absolutely spot on. One final couple of things to do, and that is we are down here at Engine Tuner. We're in their machine shop, which is full of JDM goodness. 2JZ head. This is going to get a light skim so that the mating surfaces are perfect. All the valve clearances are going to be checked and shimmed if necessary, so that this engine will run absolutely tip-top. So while we're here at Engine Tuner, we're going to have a UK fuel map put on this. It's going to be tweaked a little bit. It's a fresh import, Subaru Forester STI. While it's been in our workshops, it's had new clutch, new fuel pump, and new catback exhaust. So Martin's going to run it up do the necessary and make it perfect for UK roads. The reason why we're here at Engine Tuner is these are the boys when it comes to the flat 4 Subaru engine. In fact, they're the boys when it comes to most engines, as you can see. We got one Subaru engine there, another one there, another one there, another one there, another one there, there. That's an RB26, just for a bit of flavour difference. Oh, Z32 300ZX. So if you've got a JDM engine, or in fact, there's a Yank V8 over there. If you've got any engine and it needs some looking at, Engine Tuner, give them a bell. Hat change number 3, and the cylinder heads are back. We're going to have to whip the cams out, and then we can actually fit these onto here and go through all the torque tightening sequences as per the work instruction manual for the Subaru Impreza EJ20. First up, new gasket, multi-layered steel. Get that on the dowels. Lovely. Cylinder head, all fresh, lovely, nice and painted. Beautifully assembled by the guys at Engine Tuner. That goes on there. And then we've got the head bolts. Again, always use brand new head bolts. These are genuine Subaru. So Spencer's lubed these up like an expert. Obviously, oil on the threads, oil underneath the washer. Just get them in. Start winding them with your fingers. Don't use guns or anything like that. So there's a sequence to these bolts: top middle, top left, bottom right, bottom left, top right. The reason why the cylinder head bolts have a sequence is so that the head clamps down. If you start at this side and then go to that side, you could have a gap in the middle. By starting in the middle and then moving to the diagonals, you're distributing all the clamping forces as you tighten these down. In addition to a tightening sequence, we've had to slack each one off in the reverse order by 180 degrees and then again by 180 degrees. And now we're retorquing the center ones to a higher torque setting, and then we torque the outer ones again in the correct sequence to 15 Newton meters for this next one. And the reason for all of this tightening and slackening and tightening again is to ensure the proper clamping forces and squish on the fire ring of the gasket around each cylinder. Put the cams back in. We're going to put the spark plugs in now, because if you've ever worked on an Impreza, they're a twat. There is no other word. Spark plugs on one of these, absolute, yeah, twat. Can I say that? that is the long engine now built. Next up is all the inlet manifold, all the sensors, cam belt, timing all this in, all the guards, what else? Throttle bodies, alternator brackets, power steering, aircon compressor. So yeah, we're nearly there, honest. So as you can see, all the parts on the table are getting less and less, which is a good thing because they are all finding their way onto the engine and the gearbox. And just look how shiny everything is. There's something really nice about a freshly built engine with everything all zinced and all the new black plastic. These overnight parts from Japan, months to get them. Anyway, Spencer's been doing a cracking job here. So we're going to let him finish, get the final bits on, and then we're going to hoy this into the engine bay. When I say hoy, we're going to place it in with finesse and care so that we don't scratch anything. But it's going in today. One more thing though. If you remember, when we took these covers off, we had to use an angle grinder to get this cover off because it was mullered, it was crusty, it was horrible. We can't get one. So if any of you have got one lying on a shelf, in a shed, in a garage, anywhere, please get in touch via the usual channels, Talk GT. Let us know. We will have it off you if it's decent nick. So this is going to be straightforward. We're going to fit a turbo, except what we've got to do is get the flange to line up, get the intake to line up with this, get that to go on there, and get that to go down here. Wish us luck. Just look at them. Doesn't it look lovely? Everything looks absolutely brand new, ready to go in. This is the best Airfix kit ever because it's going to be a Subaru P1 that we can drive. Spence and everybody, Mitch, the whole team, they've all come together and they have built these two lovely specimens of an engine and a gearbox. And now we've got to make them together and get them in the hole. We're going to use an engine crane because I'm stuffed if I'm going to try and lift an engine and gearbox with my body. Not with my back, not with my knees. These, godsend. We're going to use a trusty seat belt for two reasons. One, it's nice and soft. It's not going to scratch any of the paint around anything. And two, Subaru don't have any lifting eyes on the actual engine, which I find quite strange considering they've got a penchant for blowing up. Anyway, this is also incredibly strong. So let's get it on the crane and get it off the stand. Up we go. It's like automatic. And there we go. Top tip when rebuilding engines, stuff like that, and you're about to put the clutch and the gearbox in, do not forget the spigot bearing, this thing here, so that the nose of the input shaft from the gearbox can go against that. Because if you forget that, you'll be taking it all apart and probably taking it out again. Ask me how I know. So long since I've been under here, but every time I'm just like, wow. It literally is OEM plus. It just looks, I can't swear, but I should swear, it looks fucking awesome. Look at it. I mean, you can bleep that, but they didn't even come out the factory this good. The video does not show how much of a struggle it was to lift this onto this cradle. It looks light. It's not light. And this is the lowest the transmission jack will go, and I'm a short arse, so it had to go very high. It sits on there, right. I shall
It's on our painted.
need to go across a little bit. Phase one complete. Now we had to chase out all the threads because obviously this lovely paint did go into the threads a bit. So we've chased them out with a tap. They're all nice and fresh. My shoulders are hurting because I was holding some of it up because the transmission jack was at the front, but it's in now. Drive shaft's back in. Everything's all fitted and it looks lovely. This contrast between the blue, the gold zinc and the satin black paint, it just works. I wish this was my car. I do. Again, this highlights just how far forward the engine sits in here. When you're putting a gearbox in a car, normally you think that the bell housing is going to be at the bulkhead. But no, that's where the front differential is on the gearbox and the engine sits forward of that. It just looks weird with all this space that we can see now, and that is going to disappear the moment the engine goes in and we start putting the exhaust on it and stuff like that. But first we've got to get that in. This is it. After so many false dawns, the engine is going back in. We've just got to lower it into the hole very gently, not damage any of this. Line these two studs up, slide it in, and it should just go together really easily. There we go.
It's clear. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's in. No skinned knuckles, no damaged paint, very little swearing, apart from now. Look at it. Look at it. It's just stunning. I'm loving the contrast. The red, the black, the gold, the silver, the gorgeous blue paint. Why didn't they do an engine bay like this from the factory? I'm glad they didn't, because it means that we've managed to improve this car. Right, that's it for this episode. Next episode is plumbing it, wiring it, maybe firing it up. Will it run? Who knows? Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. And we promise we won't be 6 months.